I'm Katrina and this is Sow and Tare, and today I'm going to go through what tools I use to process rabbits. And we're not going to show any processing. There's not going to be any of that on this channel, so be comfortable in that. And I wanted to show you some things and reasonings why they're used. First thing, some way to hang up the rabbit. So I have this, it's not really a gambrel, but I'm going to call it a gambrel. It doesn't go through a tendon or anything, but it hangs from the back leg. You can set up a system that is made of a shoelace with slip knots on it and just hang that up and use it the same way. There's lots of different ways that you can do this, but basically the goal is to hang the rabbit from the back feet after it has been dispatched, and it allows things to drain out of it, and then also allows you to take everything out of it. I'm trying to use words that I can use on YouTube. Anyway, that is the best way to do it, is to hang it from the back feet or the ankles. And so this allows me to do that. You can, again, use a shoestring with slip knots. That's fine. Now, I've added on here, this is just a magnet, and I got that from Harbor Freight. Super cheap, super good. And I used to have a little tiny shelf that I had at my processing area at my old property, and that works. This works a whole heck of a lot better because all of my processing tools that I'm using are magnetic. So this is what I use. On this goes, these are literally for plants, right? So this is your garden clippers. These are for bones. So you're going to cut through bones with your garden clippers. So that's that. That goes up there like that. Scissors. I use the big scissors. These are, it comes apart for cleaning. My friend actually gave me these. These are Milwaukee, and they work really, really well. And I'll talk about the actual dispatching soon. But once you actually dispatch, you should not be cutting through bone to this. So that part is done with scissors, and you should not be going through bone because that should already be pulled apart enough to deal with that. So that's what these are for. And then I also use these whenever you cut through bone, which would be the ankles, the front ankles, the back ankles, and then also the tail. This follows up the cut. So when you're cutting bone with this, it doesn't do a good job of cutting through the skin. So you're going to make a cut with this and then make a cut with this. So that goes up here too. And then what I have been using, just honestly, because I couldn't find my skinning knife. When I moved, I couldn't find my skinning knife. This is a regular kitchen paring knife. It is sharpened. You do want to either have a sharpener or a sharpening stone, something like that. And you do want to keep it sharp. Here's how you test to see if it's sharp, is you cut backwards on your nail. And if you can do that and shave your nail, it's sharp enough. You want to test the tip as well. There you go. Now, I did just cook something with turmeric, so that's why my hands are like that. But sharp knife, it could be a pocket knife, it can be, a larger knife. This big or smaller is perfect. You don't really need it for much. You need it for around the ankles, and you need it for, well, around the end of the intestines. And also trying to use words I can use, and also when you actually cut the animal open to gut, that is where you use these. So it's, again, you don't use any of these tools very much, but you need them pretty much all of them. Now you can do things and you know, brute force and that kind of thing, but my recommendation is to have these 3 things. And this, I actually set it like this because I will, when I do the ankles, so pretend like this is the foot and this is the ankle, I will actually, I'll pinch and pull the skin out, and I'll actually hold it this way and poke in and out, but I'm pinching it and holding it like that, right? So I'm pinching it, I'm poking in, hold, and go like that. So I'm using it backwards, and you don't cut yourself. Like you want to make sure that your fingers are away from it. So that's what I do around the ankle. Pull that down. Yeah, and so I typically just slap this up here like that, and that's how my processing is. I usually have this on the end. Sometimes it's actually like this. And you'll get used to however you grab it or however you put it away might be how you put it away or grab it. And that works. Something that's handy to have is a sponge that's dampened. Last few times I have not had that, but I have a place for the tree for it. And the reason for that is if you get a lot of hair or if you get a lot of red stuff, it can just be annoying. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just annoying. And so a quick wipe will help with that. Another tool that I use, and it's actually the first thing that's done, so I do what's called cervical dislocation, and I do that with a choke chain, and that is attached to a, this is not called a carabiner, locking carabiner. It's not a carabiner, it doesn't carabine. Anyway, it's this, and then it's screwed into the tree. So basically what you do is you pull one through the other, and that goes around the neck. You do not want the connection back here, you want it on the side, and pull on the back legs. You do that very quickly once the animal has calmed down. You know, like these guys are used to me, they're not used to me holding them, but they're used to me being around them, so they've calmed down pretty quick. And so I use that for that, and it's just a quick tug, and you have to put some force into it. I mean, I probably put more force into it than I need to, but I want to make sure that it's one swift thing, and I always double pull. So sorry. So that's the actual processing pieces. I use 4 buckets, 1 bucket for heads and feet because those are dog treats, 1 bucket for pelts because, hey, I'm looking for someone to sell the pelts to. I know somebody will want them and tan them and all of that. 1 bucket for the innards, and 1 bucket for a rinse bucket. So those are my 4 buckets. I don't have a processing table. You'll notice that I don't have a processing table. Everything is taken out up here, and then you have the 4 buckets, and then my cooler I keep in the back of my car. There's no reason for me to carry things back and forth. I have a cooler in there with 2-gallon milk jugs of ice. So again, you wash them, it's clean, you fill it up with water, you put it in the freezer, and guess what? Poof, you have huge blocks of ice that you can reuse. So rinse them off. What I do is I rinse them off in between when you change the water every day. Rinse them off, dry it off, put it back in the freezer, and through that cycle I'll just use the same ones because they're going into the same thing. Then you can wash them again. But that's what I use. And then for myself, I do use gloves. So I use like the nitrile gloves, the blue ones. There's black ones too. Whatever you use, that's fine. Some people do it barehanded, but I don't need all that fresh stuff on me, so I do it with glove. Now, those gloves can get ripped, so make sure you have extra gloves. And it's usually the back legs, you know, that you cradle them, and then they're like, oh wait, what's going on? And so what I've actually found is I wear these under the gloves, just because I know I'm going to change the gloves again, but these are called Farmer's Defense. I keep calling them farmer sleeves. So if you hear me talking about farmer sleeves, that's these. These are not, not sponsored, but hey, Farmers Defense, if you guys want to sponsor me, I will totally make tons of videos for you, because they work. So they're used for gardening. They're made for gardening for like zucchini type thorns. They're not the greatest for blackberry thorns, but for things that are pokey and just annoying to the skin, they're really good. And they're also really good for rabbits. So my rabbits aren't kicking and screaming, but they do sometimes want to get like okay, I don't know what's going on. And since I've been wearing these, I've gotten a few scratches on my belly just because I hold them right there, but little ones. But I haven't gotten any where these cover, and they also give sun protection, and they go like this, and they come in lots of different kinds of things, and they have a silicone, I don't know what to call it, a thing that holds it up there, and that's what I use. So those are the tools I use for rabbits and rabbit processing, and I have my pasture rabbits, and that's pretty much it. I will be processing them later, but I wanted to show you guys this setup while we had good weather. Well, we're in between rain, but we have good weather, and I want you guys to be prepared for this winter, because if you haven't started breeding your rabbits yet, right about now is probably when most people are starting to do that. Now, the males go temporarily sterile in the heat, 85 degrees and above. Again, that's a number that moves depending on the individual, depending on the breed, all of that, but about 85. And so if it's cooled off a little since then, it might take a few weeks for them to really get going again. But about now's the time when people start rebreeding. Now, my girls, I am actually going to wait a little bit to breed them, and they'll be okay. But start thinking about that, and start thinking about when you're going to process, where you're going to process, what kind of setup you're going to do, and then also where you're going to put them. I would like to remind you guys, I ordered a freezer, and I was going to process more because my other freezer's full, and I figured I needed more freezer. So I had ordered a freezer, and it was going to get there like, man, these rabbits are going to be late, but whatever, they're going to be in. Then it was 3 weeks later than that. So if you are thinking about buying a freezer, do it well before you need it, because I didn't. And I got stuck having to feed those animals, care for those animals, and then process them at a later age than I had anticipated. And that puts more financial stress, and that also puts a little more kind of frantic stress, like, oh my gosh, let's just deal with this. So if you are thinking about getting into rabbits, okay, rabbits take about 30 days, 31, 32 days from the time that they are bred to the time that they have their babies, which is called kindling. They are kits. The babies are called kits. And then after that point, you have so I process at 12 weeks old. So you have 12 weeks from that point until you process rabbits. So 12 weeks is about 3 months. So from breeding to processing is 4 months. So that is quite a bit, isn't it? But that is something to pay attention to if you're starting to breed now. You have 4 months to get this ready. But in reality, you have less than that, because let's say, people always wait until last minute. So you really have less time than that. You want to get it done now, especially for freezer ordering or any product ordering. Luckily, these types of things can be found pretty much everywhere. Sharpening stones, learning how to sharpen. I need to put this on the calendar somewhere. I will be doing a sharpening video at some point here soon. I need a sunny day, hopefully, to do it so I can show you one thing. But it doesn't have to be sunny to sharpen. I'm just saying things are easier to see when it's sunny. I will be doing that. But you want to keep these tools sharp, and specifically the knife. You want to avoid cutting bone with your scissors, which will keep them sharper longer. And these guys are just going to power through things. But I will show you how to sharpen everything at some point soon, hopefully. All right, so I think that's all I'm going to go through today. And hopefully that gives you a good idea of what to prepare for if you are starting out with rabbits this year, or if you're, maybe going to help someone process, or start thinking about getting into it. It's not very expensive to get into. This is not expensive. None of these are expensive. I think this magnet was like $5. Shoestring if you don't have one of these, and buckets. And so it's really not expensive. You don't need, you don't need a lot of things that you need to process bigger animals. And what's here is perfectly fine. You don't need any more than this. So I hope you guys are considering rabbits and raising rabbits, and they're a really, really good thing to raise. And one of the things I compare to is I have not raised chickens for meat. I have raised 3 chickens for eggs, pets that poop breakfast. But I've raised quail for eggs and meat. The difference between birds and actually I have a raising quail and aviary course. If you're interested in that, I'll put the link up here. And quail is great, but you have to make sure that you have electricity for the brooder. And I use brooder plates. Other people use brooder lamps. Brooder plates are safer because they don't explode. And you have to baby them a little bit in the beginning. The thing with rabbits is when they are little, mom takes care of everything. She does. She takes care of everything. She's really good at it. I've heard of some moms not being good moms, but all of my moms so far, they're called does, they have been fantastic moms, and they take care of everything. And about 3 weeks in, that's when, right away when they give birth, they might give birth on the wire. I've only had a couple on the wire, and they may recycle those nutrients. But about 3 weeks, 10 days is when they start opening their eyes, and about then, not 3 weeks, 2 weeks, is when you start to have them hop out of the nest box and stuff like that. So you do need to pay attention then and make sure they know how to get back in. And I put a brick at the entrance of the nest box. Other people just turn the nest box on the side so they can always go in and out. Other people do different things. So there's lots of ways to do that, but you do have to pay attention about week 2 to make sure that they can get back in the nest box, because they can spend the night outside the nest box and not survive the night because it's not warm enough. So anyway, in general, rabbits are super, super easy, and they take care of their own babies. So by the time they come out of the nest box, they they're still being taken care of by mom, and you really don't have to do much with them. Now, can you? Yes. Can you love on the moms and the pop? Yes. Can you love on the babies? Yes. Just don't get too attached and know what's food and what's not. So anyway, I encourage you to raise rabbits, and I encourage you to watch, I'll put the playlist for rabbits up here, and it's a fascinating thing to do, and they're tasty, they're good, they're easy to raise, and you can pasture them too, so that's pretty cool. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you raise rabbits or encourage someone to. And please like the video, subscribe if you have not subscribed, and share it around. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.